Welcome to Google Weekly.
Welcome, my name is Bjorn Barrington. This is the Google Weekly Podcast, which is part of the EdListen Network. Thank you for listening and never stop learning. This is episode 28, Google Drive, recorded 5/7/2002. Welcome everybody to the Google Weekly Podcast. I've had a busy week with the EDU on Air Hangout coming to an end. Also, my master's degree is coming to an end. Well, this show, we're going to be talking about what's new in Google, and we're going to be talking about Google Drive. And I'm joined with me with two guest co-hosts. We have Tim Metcalf. Hey, Tim.
Hi. Oh, sorry. That was my cue to say hello. Sorry.
And Tim, where are you broadcasting from?
From my living room, which is in the UK. It's in southwest London. And it's still light outside, which is nice. Yes, and I'm broadcasting from Vermont, which it's actually really nice outside. And we're also here with Sean Beavers.
Yay. How's it going, BJ?
Hi, and you're broadcasting from?
I'm broadcasting from Franklin, Ohio, and it's about 77, 79 outside, so yeah, beautiful weather.
And this is the power of Hangouts. I love it. I put a little request out there because as much as I like doing the show, I don't like doing it by myself. I will do it, but it sounds a lot better with other people. And
it's kind of like exercising, right? It's much better if you have somebody that you can go with that, I guess.
Well, I can't imagine people really want to hear me talk for 30 minutes.
Oh, I can't imagine that. The soothing sounds of your voice. They're lovely.
Yeah, my kids don't even like listening to me talk for 30 minutes. Okay, well, let me find out a little bit about you guys. And actually, let's do some pre-show stuff first. The EDU on Air conference, which happened on May 2nd, is finished. And those are all the videos and all the sessions for that are being recorded. I have not seen them being officially announced on the EDU on Air website. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, because I think you were part of that. But
yeah, I checked. I didn't see them there yet.
Okay. But I know each individual presenter has the ability to post out their own presentations because it goes straight up to their Google ones. So I know that I have at least posted mine out on the Google Weekly website. You're welcome to go check that out. Sean, I know you did a session, and did you post yours out publicly yet, or?
No, you know what? I didn't. It was public, and I made it private just because I had people commenting while it was live, and some of the comments weren't so appropriate, so that's why I made it private, and I figure once everything's uploaded to the site, they'll be able to view it.
Yeah, there's been a few that I've posted publicly, especially the live on-air hangouts, and then I go back as soon as it's done, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait a minute here. What were you? Just the comments were just oddly inappropriate, and those are the first ones that come off. Well, I did get some really positive comments during the session, though. That was really cool to have the Googler with us and helping out and getting the feedback. It was just a great experience.
Was it like trolling? Were people just? It seems really odd.
To get the bad comments?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's people with no time on their hands and no digital etiquette whatsoever. So
it just seems a very strange thing because it doesn't seem like it's a wide open, forum. It just, seems an odd thing to do.
Well, as soon as if this actually broadcasted publicly, which we're having a little bit of trouble, that's why you're going to get this as a recording as opposed to a live show. You would be able to comment because it would be public. So anybody who has a Gmail account, same with YouTube, you can go onto the YouTube feed and comment right away on that one. And unless you click it to have like moderated comments, or as Sean did, not actually post it publicly yet, you can get anybody that comes up and watches it.
I had somebody who was upset because I didn't have any explosions during the hangout. I don't know how do I speak to that?
I had one even worse, and it was on the show, and I'm not going to go there. I'm going to leave it at that. It was a great person I had on the show, and just awkward comments. Okay, moving on. Tim, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm a high school teacher in Southwest London, and I suppose that's it really. There's not too much to tell about. I'm doing my master's in education at the moment. I'm also in a rather noisy house, which I share with people, so you'll probably hear quite a lot of background noise, which I can only apologise for before we start really. So that's me. I'm quite new to this whole thing. I mean, the reason why I kind of decided that I would start doing this Hangout thing was because of the Google Edu Hangouts that happened on Wednesday. And I thought those were really interesting, and I thought this is a technology that I really need to get to grips with and kind of learn a lot more about. And I've been using Google Drive for quite a bit, and I thought, this is an opportunity to do something like that. So that's it. That's me.
Well, that's great. See, you put your bio in here, and then you kind of played it down saying it's not the best bio. I love your ending line.
Well, what did I say? I can't.
Okay. He has an interest in learning outside the classroom new technologies, but generally spends most of his time trying to find the quickest way to get stuff done, but generally not always succeeding.
No.
That just sums up my technical career.
Well, you get sidetracked, don't you? You know, it's kind of like, oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'll make me I need to do this. I need to do this quickly. And then you're like, oh, that looks interesting. And, faff about with that for ages. So, yeah, that's kind of what I tend to do.
Well, the technical side of me, I will spend 5 days to save 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So that comment just kind of stood out and rung, and I really related to it.
I once put all of my kids, every one of my students, on a spreadsheet, and then realised that there was no need because the spreadsheet already existed, and I had this whole idea that it was just but it looked really cool,
Always. Hey, Sean, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm a former 5th and 4th grade math and science teacher. I taught in the Archdiocese here in Cincinnati for a couple of years, and then I got this updater from SOITA. They were looking for some consultants to do some PD for educators, and I sent in my resume, and I guess sort of the rest is history. So I've been here for the past 5 years and doing professional development for administrators and teachers, and it's really been a dream come true because now finally, being a nerd in high school has paid off for me. So I get to teach, which I love, and also talk about technology.
Great. And I like listening to your other podcast because you're on the State of Tech podcast.
Yes, I do that with my my 2 other compadres there, Eric Kurtz and Eric Griffith. So, yeah, we have a good time.
Yeah, and Eric Kurtz has been on the show here, too, actually a couple times.
He's quite the, I'm convinced he's a machine. I'm not even sure he's a human, just with the amount of stuff that he does with the podcast and everything else. So,
well, speaking of which, I'm going to talk about a couple other little things. As you notice, I'm trying to get a few more co-hosts on here and guest co-hosts and people to come on each week in the show. I haven't found that one co-host that comes on every single week with me that can actually help me keep this stuff updated. Certainly nobody in my school. Everybody else is busy. And I really like actually getting to meet everybody here. So I'm liking this guest co-host thing. And you'll find a guest co-host form up on the Google Weekly website. And I encourage anybody, any listeners, to come on and talk about Google. I'll certainly plug any websites or blogs that you guys are posting out there. Or if you just want to see what this is all about, come fill out the form and come on to the show and help me talk about what's new in Google. I'd love to connect with everybody, and apparently it's a worldwide form, so and I think that's been the best thing about these Hangouts.
Oh, that was a reference to me, was it?
Well, it's funny because the people I'm actually connecting with, Nilo hello Neil, I know you're a regular listener. He's in Sweden. And it's so easy to connect with people all across the world using the Hangouts, and I never thought I would in the way that I do. It's amazing. And Nilo, it was like one of my students, they asked me, hey, can I talk with somebody who is from an educator from another country? And pretty much by the end of the class, I had somebody on. I mean, it was other little people that I've kind of known about, and it was just amazing to be able to offer that to my students instantly. So,
are you using Google Plus, so the Hangouts in classrooms?
I have it open, and that was the first time I've really used it in the classroom. And it was just kind of a on the moment type of a thing where the student asks, well, can I Skype with somebody from another country? And my Skype database is really, really small, but my Google Plus database is really big. I have a lot of people that I'm following, and I have a lot of people who are following me. So I just put it out there, and I got a lot of returns back. So it was a really quick way to find educators.
Was this in your classroom? So, because one issue that we have is that we can't access social media at all inside the classroom. So, it's a bit of a pain, really.
Well, that's where the advantage of me being the tech guy, I control all of that. So I'm the one that chooses what gets enabled and disabled, and I certainly keep it enabled. My policy is more keep it enabled until the students abuse it to the point where I have to disable it.
Okay.
And I tried that with Facebook, and it was open until Farmville kind of took over the entire school. And then I said, sorry, guys, you just lost it.
Oh, crushing.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, no. That's the way it goes.
Okay, so please fill out the guest co-host. And one last announcement for the Google, or actually EdListen network, is that my other podcast, which is the TC Podcast, I have posted episode 1, which is on universal design learning. I started the TC podcast basically to get the same idea that I do with the Google Weekly podcast, just trying to get information out to teachers in an audio format. But I wanted a podcast that wasn't specific to Google. And so that's the Teaching Change podcast, which is all part of the EdListen network. So go ahead and jump across and give a listen to that one. And now let's move on. We have what's new in Google. And there's a couple things in here. So let's talk about, Sean, you want to talk about the Hangouts on Air for everybody?
Sure. So there was a post today that they're now rolling out Hangouts on Air for everyone. So be looking for that in your account. I mean, they're going to be doing it gradually, so I'm not sure how many weeks that's going to take, or I would imagine weeks, probably not months, but be looking for that. So when you start a Hangout, you'll be able to broadcast it, and it will broadcast within your stream and also on your YouTube channel as well. It'll be public on YouTube. So really nice. You'll get a recording of that as well in your YouTube channel that you can then, I guess, archive. So, I've been using it for a while. I know, Bjorn, you used it, to present last week and probably a couple other times. So I think it's fantastic. And like you said, not only for connecting people with just doing something like what we're doing today with the podcast, or I think there's going to be lots of implications for education.
Yeah, as a podcaster, I really wish I could record everybody separately, though. It's like I want like a little video feed for every single person so that I can re-edit it together, but we'll see how that works. Now, this does affect you, Tim, because this is a worldwide release. So when did you get the Hangouts on Air?
I haven't. I was hanging out earlier with somebody who did have it. I haven't got it yet. I was looking through and seeing if it had come through, but I haven't been able to use it. But the chap that I was hanging out with was based in Wisconsin, so it seems to be working over your side. I don't know if we've got it yet. I don't know if anybody else in the UK has got it, but I can definitely see it being useful, especially as now, because before, if I was going to have a class, I would have to have the maximum of 10 students or 10 people in the Hangout. So now it means that I can really open that up, and even though I've got 10 people in the Hangout, I can still do, I can spread it out to everybody so people can watch and then engage, chat, So that might be quite useful. It's going to be quite interesting. I'll see what we can do with it. I'm thinking at the moment snow days are probably the most useful.
Well, I'm looking forward to coming to K-12. I know there's a lot of legal issues is kind of what's holding that one up for it actually being enabled in the domain my Google Apps for Education K-12 domain. But I'm hopeful. It'll hopefully be here before the start of next school year, because I'm really looking forward to just using this with my teachers and trying to meet and have meetings and a lot of stuff around there. So that is an upgrade, actually, because Hangouts have been out for a little while, and they've had like almost 3 different versions. Like there's the regular Hangouts, then there was the Hangouts with extras, and now the Hangouts with on air. And the on air one is the one that you can publicize what you're recording live, which we would have been doing had the broadcast button worked. And I probably could have stopped and restarted the Hangout, but I didn't. And it's an audio podcast. I can get away with that. Next thing, Google Groups redesign. And I don't know too much about this. I'm like looking through the blog post here. And beginning May 15th, rapid release. It looks like the Google Groups is just getting a facelift. I don't know about functionality, new improved user interface, collaborative inbox, multi-domain support. So it's probably what it is one of those apps that were only available for the primary person logged in or the primary account logged in. And Google does a lot with the multiple people being able to log into the screen or have multiple accounts open, which I know I do a lot. I have my personal one and my work one, and usually a second work one. I have the generic school one open all the time. So I usually have those 3 accounts open. And I know there's a lot of apps out there that can't switch between them quite yet. So I'm wondering if this redesign is addressing that. Next thing, what's new is the Google Apps policy has been updated. And let me go to the post on that one, unless you guys know anything about that, Sean or Tim.
Not a thing.
Unless you're referring to the user policy, isn't that across all their services? I mean, they unified it now, so it's the same for YouTube as it is for Docs and Calendar, etc. I'm not sure if that's the one you're talking about, Bjorn.
No, I'm checking out the Google Apps blog, and if people are wondering, I usually just go to the Google Apps blog and see what's new in Google each week and talk about it. I just got it open. So the new Google Apps policy now available. It looks like it's for multiple domain support. I guess they're really pushing that out there. I think I was just talking about that before. It looks like it integrates new supported settings for Android, so we'll probably see some more mobile settings in your Google Apps domain policy. And a couple of little things. So if you're using that, if you're an administrator using that, I encourage you to come take a look. You have a few more settings available to you now. And contact delegation. And this one I'm going to be looking into a lot more. Jump in if you guys know anything about this, or if you want to read the same screen that I am reading here. But one of the things that Google does very well is it actually allows delegation of different roles, and that's within the user. So what this means is your principal can have his email account, and he can delegate to the administrative assistant to be able to send emails on his behalf. You can do the same with calendaring. I believe you can delegate roles with being able to add to one's calendar. And it looks like there's context delegation also. So what this means is that the administrative assistant can manage the principal's contact list or a teacher's contact list. And I got to play with this a little bit more. I'm doing a presentation on May 16th to a bunch of administrative assistants at a principal's conference that's coming up in Vermont. So look for that. That is a really cool little feature, and not only contact delegation, but there's quite a few other delegation tools that it has available to them. That's my what's new in Google. Have you guys heard about anything else that's new that I may have missed? And we have silence. Problem with an audio podcast that you can't see anybody shaking their head no.
No.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I was just thinking, I just thought something. Didn't they add, I think, was it 540 new fonts to Google Docs, I believe?
Oh, I did hear about that one.
Yes.
So I'm going to put that in the show notes.
So I'm pretty excited about that. I think, I saw that they added the 100 web fonts to Google Sites, which was really nice, but I think you still only had a choice of maybe, 8 or something like that in Google Docs. So that's a welcome addition.
Yeah, and those are web fonts, so that goes to their open Creative Commons fonts, or I don't know what the licensure was, but they're allowed to be used by anybody, and I'm looking forward to them. Okay, now what's current in Google? And I've talked about this in the past. I've made some other posts, and there's a lot of information going out over there, but I'm still going to talk about because it's one of the biggest changes that Google has made very recently, and that is the addition of Google Drive. Or I don't know if it's quite an addition or if it's sort of a morphing, but there's a lot of new things with Google Drive. And I actually had a shadow student, come visit me last Friday, I think it was. And the way that I try to introduce this to all my teachers, I made him do a screencast, and I sent that out. So I will definitely put his screencast in the show notes. But Tim, do you want to talk a little bit about this to start off with?
Absolutely. I'm loving this. I really am. I think I was using Dropbox kind of on and off, but most of management I was using just a USB stick. Which works okay, it's fine. But what I'm really liking about this Google Drive stuff is basically what I did was I reorganized and I uploaded everything that was on my USB, which was about 30 odd gig, up to the drive. And it's really, the opportunity was to kind of eliminate a lot of the stuff that was on there, which I just didn't need anymore, like letters to parents, from 3 years ago, which were just completely superfluous. So I got rid of a lot of stuff and was able to work out like a good management system, file system. But didn't realize one of the fantastic things about it, and of course, blindingly obvious, is the fact that I can just search. So everything that's up there, I can just go to the Google search bar, and it can just pop up. So actually, all this filing that I was doing, although I still like that because I like to be quite organized, it was totally unnecessary because it will just search through and it will just find whatever the file was called. So I've got all sorts of things on there, which now I can just. I was using this on Friday, and I had a class and they were getting a bit rowdy. Because I was just trying to find things, and just the speed at which I was able to find this was so brilliant. It was just really, really useful. So I like that part of it. And the other thing that I really like about it is the fact that it just plays. So I've got a lot of, because I teach film and media, I've got a lot of video and film. So I've already upgraded from the 5 gig that they give you just for free, because it just didn't. Basically, I'd fill that up within 3 or 4 days. So what I did then was got the 25 gigs, so now I've got 30 gig altogether, which is more than enough. And I've uploaded lots of my videos and clips and things that I have to show, and it runs natively. So it's like a YouTube screen almost, and it will run. Once it does the conversion, it'll run MOV files, it'll run whatever. Straight through the internet, which is just tremendous. It means I don't have to download and then play and all that stuff. It just is there, and it's brilliant. I really, really like it.
Yeah, so you're actually using the Drive portion of it that you've installed to your computer, because there's two parts to this. There's the web interface, which everybody was used to and was called Documents before, and we had collections. And then when they added Google Drive, they added a component where you could download it to your computer and synchronize it. And then it's also when they renamed Drive. So you do media. Do you post up to YouTube at all too? Because I know that's another way that I...
Yeah. I mean, we've got issues with, copyright issues and that kind of thing. So what we'll do sometimes is there'll be analysis that kids will have to do of particular clips. And then they'll load back up the clips that they've analyzed using YouTube pop-ups and things like that, which work quite well. But oftentimes, there are copyright issues and it's a bit thorny, so sometimes that doesn't happen. But what works really well is to take it off, pop it into something like iMovie, and then they can re-record like a DVD commentary style thing and then upload back again to YouTube. And it's really great for collaboration, because then what each student can do is they can say, look, I've produced this, and then they can come back and their friends can comment on it and give feedback. So that works quite well. And then also for their own work, that's really useful, because when they produce something, they have to get audience feedback. That's one of the criteria, and it's really useful for them to be able to get quick audience feedback by loading stuff up onto YouTube, and then their audience can actually give them a reply, nice. Which is hopefully or generally positive.
Generally positive goes back to our other comments earlier in the show. Now, in a similar note, and this popped up in one of the listservs that I am part of, somebody was asking about Google Video and to organize that. And that was a feature that Google had, that they kind of opened it up so only teachers could upload, and it had to be like approved, and there was only so much space. Okay. And they were asking how to organize that. And I think the reply that I made to that is, try not to use it anymore. Try and get off of it and start using Google Drive and start using YouTube. Because if I had to take a guess, and knowing the way that Google works, if they have something else that they're actively developing that has similar features, the old thing will go away. So I'm going to take a wild guess, and I have no backing whatsoever other than knowing how Google works. But I would say if you're using Google Video, and specifically the Google Video, the one where you had to get approved and upload to, get your stuff off of there, move it into Google Drive. All your videos, if you upload it straight to a Google document, to a folder in Google document, it will play automatically, as Tim kind of pointed out. You can share it in the same way that you would any other doc. You can share the folder in the same way that you any other doc. So that is going to be one of my recommendations for this week, is if you're using Google Video, stop and switch gears and follow Tim's example there. Sean, do you have any insight on usage? And
I'm actually kind of using it in the same way Tim is. I mean, I've been trying to upload all the stuff off of my hard drive, so it's accessible anywhere. I mean, that's I think the big thing. If we're moving to the cloud and we're using the web as a platform, I want all my content there. And one of the things I do is I store all these videos that Soita produces in my Google Docs account, and then I link those to our Google Sites page. So I just go to embed and pick Google Docs video, and that's been working well. So yeah, in that sense, I really like it. My one, I guess, complaint at this point is that I wish the app that I have on my Mac would allow me to switch between my two Google accounts, both my apps and my personal one, just because I like having both of those mapped to my hard drive. And I can only choose one or the other. So other than that, I've been really happy with it, and I think it might be time for me to say bye to Dropbox.
See, I haven't been using Dropbox, and 90% of the stuff I do is already been cloud-based. My graphics, I use a program called Sumo Paint most often to do graphics, which is already a web-based application. So the actual addition of Drive, where I physically have some place to put something on the computer, I don't use that much. The one thing that I do put onto actually a USB key almost every week would happen to be the audio for this show. So I'm going to be recording an hour show or so. We're already 30 minutes into this one. And that produces a several gig file. So even uploading that to Drive is probably not going to be the best way for me to port it to when I go home, because I do all the post-production at home, record at school, post-production at home. So I still put that on to do a USB key. But I'm probably going to be using Drive a little bit. I'm probably going to be continuing to use the web-based version more than anything else. I will agree with you, Sean, that one of the features it definitely needs, hopefully sooner than later, is the ability to have multiple accounts that you can synchronize with. Because, again, I have my work and my home that I keep kind of separately. I do bring a lot of my work stuff here and do it after school, and most of my work stuff is very much related to education, so there is some overlap. Hi, Mr. Z, my principal. You kind of have to watch out what you say. This is a public broadcast. And moving on a little bit more with that. So what are some of the new features that they have within Google Drive? Besides the fact that they've renamed everything, they've renamed collections, and they've renamed, they renamed collections to folders. They've reorganized. So if you're like me and you use the web interface quite a bit, and you go in there, I think a lot of people are complaining that they've lost all their stuff. They cannot find all their stuff, which is opposite of what Tim's experience is, because where he said he can find everything now. And what I found was that it actually just kind of changed the way it worked. In the past, they kind of had this it kind of worked its own way, where you added something in home and you had to remove stuff from home. And honestly, I kept getting spammed with stuff. The one that I spammed me the most was the App CT, the Google App Certified Trainer resource collection that they had. And I see Sean smiling, because I'm assuming he knows what I'm talking about. It did
get pretty spammy.
Yeah, there was a lot of great stuff in there, but even though I hid the actual collection from my home, every new document that got put in there showed up in home. So especially if there was a big event coming on, all of a sudden you see 20 different things made by other people, and there was no real way to clean that out.
My coworkers actually were hating me there for a while, because I was uploading all my handouts for the different classes I teach, and so their home list was, literally 10 feet long, and I had to go in and hide it, and then of course if you modify it, then it pops back up again. So it was just you said, it can be a mess.
Yeah, so I'm actually welcoming the change a little bit, but I had to figure out, I had to kind of get back my bearings and how it worked. And I was looking for terminology and the best way to do it. And the best way to explain it is it's now back to the way a folder works. So if you're at the root level of your document list, you will only see the folders and the files that are in the root level. If you go inside another folder, you'll see only the files within that collection. Where before, if you're in home, you'd kind of see all your files and you would see which collections they were located in. And I was playing around trying to figure out, how do I get back to that simple, what I'm working on, the most recent thing I'm working on? Because that was always what it was the case. I would put something like the show notes for here. I'd put it in its proper location, but I always kind of want to use it. It's the one I'm using the most. So what I found is on the left-hand side, you have the Drive, Shared with Me, Starred, and there's a button called Recent. If you click Recent, it brings back that view of looking at the most recent documents that you're working with, popped right up. There's other sort options, and it doesn't matter which collection it is. So if you're looking for your old files, that old format that you were kind of used to, click on the Recent button. Now you'll bring you back to where you're more of a comfort state there. The other thing that really, really changed was Shared with Me. And I don't know if either of you have experience with this, but in my school I have several documents that are shared with us, several of the, basically any school-wide thing I try and make sure I don't do on my own personal school account. I try and do on a generic school account. So the staff shared or something like that. But occasionally I'll create a document and want to add to it. In the past, you just kind of click the arrow by Shared with Me and it'll pull down. And all you got to do is just drag it into the folder and then you're all set. They've changed that. They've made it now so Shared with Me is kind of a listing. You can change the sort, but let's see, if you click on Shared with Me, I'm going to sort by title. We'll put all the folders that are shared with you. But if you want to add something to that folder just by drag and drop, you first have to take the folder that's shared with you and drag it into your Drive. So you click on Shared with Me. If I'm going to take, let's say, our staff documents, which I'm on my personal one, so I don't see staff documents. I would have to take that staff document and drag it over to my drive. As soon as I do that, it will show up in my drive as if it was one of my other folders there. Once there, then I can use it as if it was before, where I could just kind of drag into it and it's shared with everybody. I'm actually not a fan of this format. I would prefer to have it separate. The way I look at it, the way it works now is kind of like having your My Documents, and then you also have your shared network folder that many schools have. And what this kind of does is it mushes the two together. And for me, I need that disconnect between documents that are shared with me that aren't mine versus the documents that I've created that are mine. I don't like the mixing in between the two, or the forcing to be forced to mix in between the two. But I understand why they did it. Sean, are you raising your hand? No? And he's still shaking his head. And I'm still talking for sitting there 20 minutes. Well, I don't like the fact that it's tried to force me to combine the two. I like the separate way of working. And I'm going to stop there. Any comments from either of you on shared with me documents? Sean?
Well, I have a question you might be able to answer, and because I just don't know the answer to this, but does it still work the same way where if what you create in Google Docs doesn't count against your 5 gigs or whatever amount you purchased? I'm just wondering if I drag something from the documents that are shared with me to my drive, even if they made it in Google Docs, does that count against my storage space?
I'm thinking the answer is no.
Okay.
I think it's still 5 gigs of other files.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right. When I expanded it this morning, from what I can remember, it said, it doesn't, that doesn't affect it. It's just whether or not it's another type of document. So the .doc or .jpeg or whatever, that's going to count. But if it's which is why, because everything I've got, it's not Google based except for my spreadsheets. Everything else is Word or whatever, which is why I kind of already exceeded my 5 gig.
Which brings me into 2 other things. You can always buy more space as an individual. I know I paid a little bit extra, and I have the extra 20 gigs. Tim, how many more did you buy?
I bought 25. So it kind of like rounds it up to, well, it adds the 5 gig you've got, and then it gives you another 25 gig. But it's only, I mean, it's so cheap. It's like $2.50 a month, which I mean is maybe not so cheap. I don't know, but here it's fantastic because you convert that to pounds, and it's it's brilliant. So I'm totally sold. As you can probably tell, I'm totally sold on this.
And Sean, I wanted to actually. That also adds another feature that they've added in here, and I was hoping you could talk a little bit about this, is they've now kind of integrated it with all the other web tools. In the past, where you can go to create, you can only create the Google Core Suite tools, but they've also added this new one called More and then Apps, and I haven't played with this too much, so I was hoping you could talk a little bit about it. How does that work?
Well, I just started playing around with WeVideo, which is a video editor that's been available, I believe, in the Chrome Web Store, but they now have Chrome, G Drive integration, and that will allow you. One of the things is it creates a folder, or I should say collection. I don't want to get the terminology mixed up here.
No, it's actually folder now.
Okay. Folder inside of your Google Docs account where it stores all the media that you're using for the project, so you can drag things into there if you have the Drive app on your Mac or PC. So that's what I did. So some of the clips that I wanted to work on, I put them in there, and for each project you create, it creates a new folder as well. So you can upload your audio and the video that you want to use, and then that shows up in the web-based editor when you want to start creating your project. So that's one neat thing. And then when you go to export it, it does a similar thing as well. So your exported video, once it's done rendering, shows up in that WeVideo folder in your Google Drive. So I really haven't done what you were talking about, Bjorn, with going to the create button and selecting WeVideo. I actually just found that out now, so that's pretty cool. I've just been going to the website or clicking on the web app to do that, but it's nice to have that integrated where you can just take your media, dump it into that folder, and then also when you get done with your project, it appears there as well. So it just makes it very seamless. Again, you're using one place to store all your stuff and not multiple silos across the internet. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think I saw that SlideRocket and Lucid Charts also are two apps that have integration with there. So what this means is from right in with your Drive on the web-based end of things, you can go to Create, More, and then you can be able to create a Lucid chart right from there. You wouldn't have to click on More Apps and create the chart. So it also saves it into one place. I don't know if that counts toward your data or not. It kind of will depend on more if it's a link or not.
And I'm not sure if it depends on the individual app either, or the service you're using. For example, WeVideo, for the free version of that, you get 1 gig of storage, and I'm assuming that borrows from your Google Drive. And you can pay for more than that, but that's everything. So I think that includes whatever you're using in your project plus your finished product.
Or I wonder how it works with that. If WeVideo gives you 1 gig and you upload it to the WeVideo, that probably uses the 1 gig there. But if you upload it to your Google Docs, does that mean it uses your Google Docs space and not your WeVideo?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to play around with that. I didn't see, when you use WeVideo, it shows you this image of a cloud, and it shows it filling up as you upload media. But again, that's stored in your Docs account, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. Like you said, is that if you upload it through the WeVideo portal, or is it if you upload things from Google Docs, it doesn't count against that?
No, we'll have to play with that a little bit more. And I think the one last thing I wanted to talk about that I still have here, actually there's two other things. Offline mode, they've added an offline mode to this. However, it's basically read-only. I don't think they've figured out how to really master offline mode yet, and I'm praying that they will very soon, because that's a lot of people's big gripe is, especially around like Chromebooks and things like that, where they really need that offline mode to be effective. And I live in Vermont, and I don't know about you guys, but we are not that well connected. There's not even cell phone service at my own house. So
I was going to say that's one of the complaints that a couple of the tech coordinators have been sharing or posting, is that they want, and I don't know, the offline mode would fill that need, but they want something where it opens it natively on the computer or laptop and not opening up a window in the browser. But I don't know how that would be done, since it's not really, it's a Google Docs format. You couldn't really open it in Word or something like that. So I don't know what the solution's going to be.
Well, I don't mind it opening up in Chrome. I really don't. But it needs to still be a full-on editor. Like, I'd take a lock it for offline mode, make it so I'm the only one that can edit it. I was talking with somebody from Google before, and one of the holdups on offline mode is trying to figure out how multiple people edit it. Because, by default, Google's designed so, up to 200 people can be sitting on the same document making changes at the same time. And once you go in offline mode, that breaks that, but people can still be editing the original document. And then when you try and sync the two together, what happens there? So I think that's where the holdup is in offline mode, is really trying to figure that out logistically. And I don't even know if there's an answer. I don't have a good idea. One of the other things, the last things I wanted to talk about for the Google Drive, and this is a good ending thing, is that the blog Free Technology for Teachers blog by Richard Byrne, he has created an ebook. And poor guy, he created the ebook and published it about 2 weeks before Drive came out. So it was an ebook on how to use documents and how to organize it with some great screenshots and everything else. And then 2 weeks later, Drive comes out, and I think in his post he was talking about how much he had to actually go through and change all the screenshots and change his terminology. And I know a bunch of us at the presenters at the EDU on Air conference were doing the same thing. Is like, oh my goodness, everything's outdated. So that's a good ebook, and I'll definitely put that in the show notes. And a very well done, lengthy explanation of ebook of Google Drive and how it can be used. So moving on, app exploration, part of the show. And again, I didn't do an app of the week from the marketplace, but we have several from the Chrome Web Store. And I'm not going to talk about WeVideo. I think, Sean, you kind of, which is a Chrome Web Store app if you want. I also believe it's a app of the week from the marketplace if you want to add it. I'll have to double check that one. But Tim, the Prezi app.
Yeah, I've just had the WeVideo thing up. This looks amazing. I'm going to definitely be trying this out tomorrow. Because it's something that we've struggled with because we use iMovie all the time, and iMovie is getting old, and it's just it seems to be crashing quite a lot. So that's brilliant. I'm going to be definitely using that.
Well, the first time I was using WeVideo was at a Google. I was in New York, and there was a Google conference on the Chromebook talking about it. And I kind of already knew a lot about it. So while I think it was Dana at the time was sitting there talking and announcing things, I was sitting there playing with WeVideo.
It's just I'm uploaded anything just yet, but just the screenshots look fantastic. I think this might solve a lot of our problems actually. But what I was just thinking about, I was looking around the Chrome store, and Prezi seems to be up there. Now, I've just played with this very briefly, and it looked like it just seemed to direct me to the website again, and I don't know if that's all there is to it. You were saying that there was something else that it can do. I mean, I like Prezi, but why the app thing? I don't know. I'm not quite sure about that.
Well,
but do you know something else about it?
Yeah, well, the way it works is a lot of them are just links. There isn't really much more than that, although there's now some integration with Google Drive, so it's very possible that what we can see in the near future is that you're going to be, from your Google Drive, when you're in Google Document List, you can go more, new, and create a Prezi right from there.
Terrific. That'd be great.
I'm guessing that capability is now available. I don't know if Prezi is doing it. But what it also does is if you hit the plus button and you're in Google Chrome, down on the bottom, you'll see a most visited, and then you'll see apps. And these are the apps most of them are just links to other websites, but they're also considered apps. And so when you go through the Chrome Web Store and you add Prezi, it'll show up in the app list here. And if you have Chromebooks, or if you're if you have Chromebooks, what you can do is if you want all the students to have a quick little button to Prezi, as an administrator, you can go in and add the Prezi app to the global list, and then the next time the Chromebook turns on, it'll show up under these apps on the Chromebook. So it's almost kind of more like a bunch of links. I don't know if you want to think of it as like global bookmarks. Is one way to look at it. It looks like it's going to get a little bit more advanced and a lot more integration with the Google Drive APIs that they put in there. But that's the big difference between going straight to Prezi and adding it through the Chrome Web Store. Sean?
Sure. I didn't have a web app. I mean, I guess I talked a little bit about WeVideo, but an extension that I wanted to share is one called Lazarus, which is really cool. What it does when you're filling out any kind of form data, so if you're using a Google form or really on any website where you're filling out information, you'll see this little symbol pop up in each of the text boxes, and let's say, for instance, like Bjorn was saying, your internet connection is sketchy at best and it drops out, or you inadvertently close a tab, you can open that window back up or that site, and if you click that little icon in the text field, it will refill in all your information. So it remembers everything that you fill in on that particular site. So it saved me a couple of times from filling out lengthy forms. So definitely check that out if you're a Chrome user.
Yeah, I needed to use that for my master's degree because every single time we did a discussion forum, we had to post it, and you write it, and by the time we hit post, it would be timeout. And after a while, I got in the habit of just copying. Before I hit submit now, any lengthy section, I've learned to just highlight Control-A, Control-C. Select all, copy. But that doesn't necessarily work if you have multiple boxes that you're filling in, so I might have to install that one. That sounds like really a good one. You put the other one in for the Android app of the week, and that's for the phones.
Yeah, and I just have to give props to my wife. She got me an Android phone for my birthday. I recently celebrated birthday in April, and so it's very, I think, or I feel lucky that I found somebody who appreciates, again, my nerdiness. And anyway, so one of the apps that I just purchased actually last night was this Task by Team Task. It's 99 cents. And it's just a really clean task manager for Google Tasks. Now, I don't know, Bjorn or Tim, if you guys use Google Tasks, but I use it all the time just to keep track of things that I need to get done, both personally and at work. And it uses the same design language as Ice Cream Sandwich. So if you have a newer Android device, it won't look, I guess, outdated. And the other thing I like about it is the widget that you can put on your home screen. They did a nice job with that as well. So like I said, if you're looking for a no-thrills a task management solution on your Android device, I would definitely recommend Task by Team Task. It's for 99 cents. I don't think you can beat it.
I will definitely have to take a look at that one. I just was looking at my phone and realized my task list that I used to have, I wasn't using anymore. It was on my old phone and stuff. Well, I'm actually going to throw one in there because I learned about it this week, and it was one that my wife found. And I don't know how educational it really is. But there's a whole group of apps called Babies First. And if you search Babies First, there's a lot of great little tiny apps, and they're great for toddlers. So I have my 18-month-year-old daughter, and she loves playing with the phone. And so we're always looking for those little tiny apps that she can play with. There's another one I use quite a bit, but Babies First, it had like several different apps, free apps that you can grab for. I think the one I grabbed is called Moo Light, and it would show up each animal, and it would make the animal noise, and she could tap it, and it really entertained her and seemed kind of educational. I mean, she started talking about moo and cow and goats and listing those off. So, yeah, I'm a proud dad.
I might go and download that for me. Yeah.
No, I'm definitely going to have to check that out. I have a 12-month-old at home, and currently I have a YouTube playlist with all these Sesame Street videos with will.i.am and Katy Perry, so maybe I'll have to go check out that Android app to keep her focused when she's eating her cereal.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them if you just search Babies First, and I think I found it on the website too. It's like a whole series of toddler apps, so worth taking a look at.
I hope you have a good case, though, because my daughter tends to just put everything in her mouth right now, so yeah.
Yeah, it's not the best case, but I made sure I got the extra little warranty on my phone. And actually, I'm going to plug another one since you're here and talking about it and looking for it. Toddler Lock. I don't know if you use that or not, Sean, but it's a simple drawing app that will lock your screen. So the only way you get out of it is by hitting you hit all four corners. So you have to hit 1, 2, 3, 4 in order to get out of it. So often I'll just give it to the phone. I'll hit Toddler Lock. She can draw. It pops up with little stars. She can tap it. It makes a little music. And she's very happy about that one. But I also know that she's not going to get into my contacts and start deleting everything too.
Or calling people.
Or calling people, which she is famous for too. Luckily, it's often me or my wife. Okay, well, I think this is going to wrap up the show. Any last closing remarks? Let's go for Sean. Do you have any last closing remarks or any ways to contact you?
Sure. You can email me. It's remedy1978@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at remedy1978. And I just want to plug, we have, we're going to be doing an on-air conference, the State of Tech in conjunction with iTip Ohio. That's going to be June 16th. It's a Saturday. It's going to be PD and your PJs. And that's from 12 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. So we're looking for presenters. I think Bjorn said he was going to do a session or two. So, if you're interested, the website is pd.thestateoftech.org. If you want to register, I guess, for the conference, or if you'd like to present, and it is absolutely free. So we want people just to roll out of bed and take part in some professional development.
Nice. And I'm not doing 5 sessions. That was quite a marathon on the EDU conference.
Hey, if you do one, we'll be happy. That would be great.
Oh, I'll definitely throw one in. I'll give you choices. You can choose the best one, but I'll say I don't want to do more than one. Maybe 2 if you see really. Tim, any contact information? And
I suppose you can get hold of me on Google Plus. I think that's probably the easiest thing. I'm just at Tim Metcalf, and then just kind of trawl through that. I'm just in London, so I don't know how many Tim Metcalfs there are in London, but I'm there smiling out my face. That's about it. That's probably the easiest place to get hold of me. I don't want to give you my email address. I don't know you people very well. This has been great. This has been really, really informative. I've probably learned much more, I think, than I ever knew about. I'm particularly stoked about that WeVid stuff. I think that's going to be amazing.
Okay, great. And that's going to close up the show then. Thank you for listening to the Google Weekly podcast with your host, Bjorn Behrendt. And you've just talked to our co-host this week. So we have Tim Metcalf and Sean Beavers. You can follow the podcast and contribute by going to www.edlisten.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Google+ is probably the best way to get a hold of me. And I encourage you to get the conversation going by using the hashtag GW Podcast. And always posting comments on the site is very much encouraged. I'd like to hear your feedback. Again, thank you for listening, and never stop learning.
This is Torrance, and thank you for listening.